little and big, a little baby piglet and a great big pig. The piglet is little and the pig is big, big and little, little and big, big and little, little and big. Hi, I'm going to tell you a story about big and little today. Well, actually, it's my friend Little Bird's story, too. You see, Little Bird and I have a special interest in big and little. After all, I'm 8 feet tall, and Little Bird is only about 10 inches tall on tippy toes. You might think that makes it hard for us to be friends, but it doesn't really. You see, if I drop a crayon on the floor, Little Bird can pick it up for me, so I don't have to bend down so far. And if Little Bird needs something off a big tall shelf, it's easy for me to get it, and being good friends with Little Bird does something else for me. It helps me remember that everybody isn't just like me. For instance, the other day, Maria and Luis were building a playhouse, and I said, "Why don't you put the window up there?" And Little Bird said, "Hold on a second. If the window is up there, I'll never be able to see out of it." Well, I had never thought of that. So do you know what happened? Luis and Maria finally made a big window high up for me and a little tiny window at the bottom for Little Bird. And that's when we thought of telling you a story about big and little. But first, I have to tell you about something important. Listen for this sound, okay? That sound is to tell you when it's time to turn the page. Do you want to hear it again? There it is. We'll begin on the very first page, the one where I'm flying in my balloon. One day, I was floating way up in the sky in my big hot air balloon, looking at the big white clouds as they passed by. I really liked my hot air balloon. I like big balloons, I said. And there was Little Bird down below. From where I was, so high up in the air, Little Bird really looked little, holding her little green balloon. "I like little balloons," she said. Then there was the time I was lying in my big, comfy hammock with a big pitcher of lemonade next to me. I was staring off into the distance at Mount Yellowfeather. It was so tall, so majestic, so, well, you know, so big. Meanwhile, Little Bird had discovered a tiny little molehill, and she kept climbing up to the top and jumping from it. I looked up at the snowy mountaintop from my hammock. "I like mountains," I said. Little Bird jumped off her tiny hill. "I like molehills," she said. One day, Little Bird and I were fish watching down by the dock when what should come along but a whole family of big, huge whales. Wow! They sent big spouts of water blowing up into the air, and their tails made big waves. But Little Bird had brought her cute little goldfish, Gertie, and she liked her a lot better. I watched the big whales swim slowly past. "I like whales," I said. "Whales are kind of big for me," said Little Bird. "I like goldfish." Little Bird and I liked the water so much, we decided to take an ocean voyage. I traveled on an ocean liner called the SS Birdseed. My favorite part was its big whistle. Way down below, Little Bird was rowing in her little rowboat. It was just her size. I called down to Little Bird from the deck, "I like ships." And Little Bird called up, "I like rowboats." On a trip we took to the zoo one day, Little Bird found just the animal for her. The bunny rabbit. She loved the way its little nose twitched when she came near it, and she loved its little puffy tail. I found just the animal for me, too. And boy, was it big! It was Henry the Hippo. When that hippo opened his mouth to be fed, I couldn't stop wondering how big his toothbrush was. Do you know what my favorite thing at the zoo is, little bird? I asked. I like to feed the hippopotamus. You know what my favorite thing is, don't you, big bird? She asked. I like to feed the bunny. One day, Little Bird had a great idea. She thought we should join a band. We love the sound of band music, don't you? I thought maybe I should play the tambourine, or the kazoo, or the flute, or the triangle. But Little Bird thought those instruments were all too little for me. And she was right. The instrument for me was the tuba. Then Little Bird tried to choose an instrument. She thought about playing the bass drum, or the glockenspiel, or the bassoon. But I thought those instruments were too big for her. The instrument for Little Bird was the piccolo. Little Bird and I made beautiful music together. I like to play the tuba, I said. I like to play the piccolo, said Little Bird. I went to watch the big, big train the other day. I love to hear that lonesome whistle blow. It made me think of all the exciting places the train might be going, taking coal or wheat, or new cars, or frozen pizzas all over the country. I pretended I was an engineer, blowing the big whistle. I like freight trains, I said. Little Bird just loved her little toy train. It was just her size. She had an engine that made real smoke, and a car that carried logs, and a coal car, and a caboose. She loved to make her train go around and around on the track. I like toy trains, she said. Little Bird and I really loved dogs, so we went to see if we could find some nice dogs to adopt. We met all kinds of dogs. Brown ones, white ones, shaggy ones, curly ones. I picked the biggest dog because I liked his big bark. Little Bird picked the littlest dog because she liked her dog's little bark. Little Bird and I walked our new dogs home. I said, I like Great Danes. Little Bird said, I like Chihuahuas. We had so much fun the day the circus came to Sesame Street. I just loved the big top, the big crowds, the big circus parade, and the big circus elephant. Little Bird likes the circus too, even though it's big and noisy. Her favorite things are the tiniest, littlest things at the circus, the fleas. Little Bird and I rode on an elephant in the circus parade. I like elephants, I said. They're much too big for me, thank you, said Little Bird. I like fleas. One day, Little Bird and I decided to have a picnic. I thought we should take the big picnic basket. Little Bird thought we should just take a little lunchbox. I thought we should spread out our picnic in the big field. Little Bird had the idea that we could find a cozy little corner under a tree. There was one thing we agreed on, though. Fruit. We both love fruit. Little Bird wanted to take grapes because they're nice and little. I wanted to take watermelon because it's nice and big. Little Bird and I had a wonderful picnic. I like watermelon, I said. I like grapes, Little Bird said. When Little Bird and I got back to 123 Sesame Street, we were tired and happy. I always have such a good time with my little friend, Little Bird. I like big things best, I said, but there's one little thing I like a lot. I like little things best, said Little Bird, but there's one big thing I really like. And we both said it to each other at the very same time. You. When I met you, I could see that feathered friends we'd always be. There's feathered you and feathered me forever. That's a long time. If you feel you want to talk, just open your beak and give a squawk, and I'll be there to help and care forever. A friend indeed would share a sunflower seed. I'd even give you my best feathered nest so you could rest. That's friendship. I don't know what tomorrow may bring, but count on me to lend you a wing, 'cause I'll be there. We'll be a pair forever. Feathered friends we'll always be. Feathered you and feathered me together forever. You know, I just might make it in show business.